Sigurd Snake in the Eye was the third son of Ragnar and Aslog. The old sagas say that Sigurd becomes a prominent Danish king. Vikings on the History Channel says otherwise. Now, I don't think that dead ringer historical accuracy was ever the intention on this show. And I get it, sometimes historical accuracy needs to be sacrificed to tell the story you want to tell. But sometimes, I kinda wish that writer Michael Hirst would have wanted to tell a different story with Sigurd. I don't see fans bringing him up very much, which is understandable because he got a lot less time to shine than his brothers. But I feel like whenever he is brought up, it's usually to trash him in favor of Ivar, which I don't think is very fair. So today, I'm going to be speaking in defense of Sigurd and explain why I think he deserved better than he got. Before I state why I liked Sigurd specifically, I want to briefly touch on what the other brothers were up to at the time. This isn't to diss them or anything, because I genuinely did find them all interesting and important around this time for various reasons. But it will hopefully provide some additional context as to why I think Sigurd gave them a run for their money in terms of interest and likability. Until season 4B, Bjorn was the only son of Ragnar with significant screen time, so by default he was my favorite. But over time, he turned into a character that I really just did not vibe with. I want to do a whole separate video on my feelings about Bjorn, so I'll briefly say here that his character became, for lack of a better word, kind of annoying. Granted, a lot of said annoyingness doesn't arise until season 5, but even before then I found myself really disappointed with some of the things he did, like sleep with Astrid, and some of the things he didn't do, like, grieve the death of his daughter. And I felt like he was becoming a poor man's Ragnar, trying to imitate his father instead of being his own person. I'm assuming that it's supposed to seem as though Bjorn is so much like Ragnar that they naturally have the same mannerisms, but for some reason it just didn't come across as very natural to me. So yeah, Bjorn did have some redeeming moments in 4B, and I've always admired his badassery as a fighter, but he certainly was not my favorite character at that point in time. After season 4, I started to really like Ube. Actually, even in season 4 I liked him. He really does look like a young Ragnar, and I feel that he embodies his dad's mannerisms a lot better than try-hard Bjorn. He even shares his dad's original passion of wanting good farmland for his people. But a lot of these aspects of Ube don't arise until after season 4. We do see bits of these personality traits in 4B, and I love how he respects his older brother and looks out for his younger brothers. Really looks after his younger brothers. I guess my biggest gripe with 4B Ube is that I wish he would have put Ivar in his place more instead of just trying to play peacemaker when he and Sigurd argued. To be honest, I don't have much to say about 4B Vitzurk. I did find him to be pretty enjoyable though. He came across as the most easygoing of the brothers, and Marco brought a nice, boyish charm to the character that just makes me want to pinch his cheeks and feed him homemade brownies, despite the fact that Vitzurk is definitely not some sweet little innocent kid. Like Bjorn, I want to do a whole separate video on my complex relationship with Ivar. On the one hand, I like some of the conflict he brings to the series. Plus, Alex's acting is amazing. On the other hand, I really don't find Ivar to be very likable. To be fair, and again like Bjorn, a lot of my issues with Ivar take place after season 4. In 4B, Ivar shows us his talents as a battle strategist, and he even has some endearing moments, particularly with Ragnar and Floki. But he also gives us a taste of how downright demented he is. He's unnecessarily violent, quick to pick fights, and seems to love making people feel inferior to him. And I know that people like to justify his actions by referencing Ragnar's last words to him, which are to be ruthless, but to be honest, I have my own sneaking suspicions on what exactly was going through Ragnar's head when he said all that. I'm not going to go into detail in this video or else it'd get way too far off my original topic, but I will say that Ragnar was very good at telling people, even people he loved, what they wanted to hear. Secondly, in that very same conversation, Ragnar tells Ivar to use his anger intelligently. I don't think that even this broken and beaten Ragnar would have found some of the things Ivar ends up doing to be intelligent or honorable. especially killing his own brother in a fit of rage during a petty fight. Aside from his aforementioned endearing moments, another of Ivar's saving graces in 4B was his insecurity about his disabilities. Seeing him struggle in this manner gave him some much-needed vulnerability, but still, I find it hard to sympathize with someone who overcompensates for their insecurities by inflicting fear and pain in people. I think it's the combination of his spoiled upbringing and him trying to mask his insecurities that makes him act like he's Odin's gift to mankind, and I was getting real tired of his cockiness even before season 5. Now that I've covered the other 4, let's go back to our buddy Sigurd. I'm not saying he was perfect or even that he was my favorite of the brothers, but I think I liked him as much as I did for a few different reasons that I want to briefly touch on. This reason is admittedly kind of a stretch because I don't have many examples to go off of, but I can still say with confidence that Sigurd will always hold a special place in my heart for being the only person shown giving a rat's ass about poor baby Siggy's death. They really broke my heart with how dirty they did that little girl, and they didn't even bother to include a scene of her own father grieving her loss. Sigurd also does something that Ivar desperately should have learned how to do, which was to talk through his negative emotions in a healthy way. He's never afraid to admit how distant his relationship with Aslog was and how it made him feel unloved by her. I'll be the first to say that sometimes he took things too far with Ivar, but his grievance about Aslog is very valid, and I appreciate the vulnerability he showed when expressing those feelings. The other brothers, particularly Bjorn, would occasionally shut Ivar down if he took things too far. But for the most part, Sigurd seemed to be the only one who really got under Ivar's skin, and I think this is because he was the most fed up with Ivar and the least willing to put up with his BS. Like I said earlier, Sigurd was too harsh sometimes, yes, but he told Ivar the truth, which is something Ivar could not handle very well. And as you can probably tell by everything I had to say about Ivar earlier in this video, he's not a very likable character to me, so it was nice to see Sigurd knock him off his high horse when few others were willing to do so. The final reason I like Sigurd is because of his badassness. We really don't get to see him fight very much because, well, he died pretty quickly. But he always revered the gods and wanted to be an honorable, worthy fighter. And I think that if he'd had more time to develop his skills, he would have made an amazingly fearless and determined warrior. I mean, just look at the way he went out. Homeboy took an axe to the chest, pulled the axe out, and walked until his body succumbed to its wound. Throughout the series, many people have suffered deaths worthy of Valhalla, and Sigurd is for sure one of them. I guess all I'm saying is that I wish they would have kept Sigurd in the show for at least a little longer than they did. I'm not a fan of many of the plot points in Season 5, so maybe his presence could have steered that season in a different direction. For example, instead of killing Sigurd and claiming to feel sorry for it, maybe Ivar could have just maimed Sigurd and not felt sorry for it at all. It still could have served as a catalyst for all the barbaric stuff Ivar does in Season 5, but Sigurd would have been there regaining his strength and preparing for an epic battle against Ivar. And hell, maybe even along the way, Sigurd becomes very bitter, full of rage, and willing to do anything regardless of how evil to capture and kill Ivar. It could have been interesting to see him both physically and mentally turn into the same type of person he hates so much. Like, even if Hurst felt that Sigurd had to go at Ivar's hands, I just would have preferred that Ivar had killed him later. But I don't know, I'm just spitballing ideas here. I am curious to know what you guys think, though. Do you feel that Sigurd went out in the right way and at the right time, or do you wish that he would have stuck around a little longer? Let me know down in the comments while we pour one out for our fallen bro. Good night, sweet prince. At least now you can join your father in Valhalla. Although, maybe not, because Ragnar kind of died an atheist, so, well, hey, at least Sigurd doesn't have to deal with Ivar anymore. If I've managed to keep your attention until the end, I just want to say thank you so much for watching my first video. It really does mean a lot to me, and I do genuinely want us to have an open dialogue about this in the comments down below, so please feel free to respectfully agree with, disagree with, or add on to anything that I've stated in this video. And also, if you have any advice on ways I can improve my videos going forward, I'm all ears on that as well.